Hey everyone, today we're going to tackle one of the most powerful and honestly most essential verbs in the entire Spanish language, tener. Seriously, if you want to speak with real confidence, getting this one verb down is going to unlock so much of the language for you. So let's dive right in.
So just imagine for a second. Could there be one single verb you could use to talk about what you own, to say how old you are, and to talk about something you have to do? In English, we'd use totally different words for all of those things. But in Spanish, well, there's one verb that handles it all.
You got it, it's tener. The best way to think about it is like the Swiss Army knife of Spanish verbs. It's just so incredibly versatile, and once you get the hang of all its different jobs, I promise your Spanish is going to sound so much more natural.
Okay, first things first. We've got to build a solid foundation. So let's start with how to actually conjugate tener and how to use it for its most basic job, talking about possession. Just like when we say to have in English. This is about as straightforward as it gets. Yo tengo un coche nuevo literally means I have a new car. Simple. If you have a dog, you'd say yo tengo un perro. See? Easy, right? But this is also where tener starts to show its tricky side. Right, so tener is what you might call a rebel verb. It doesn't always play by the normal rules. And here's its first irregularity. For the I form, you don't say tengo, you say tengo. You've got to add that little G sound in there. It's a small change, but it's absolutely crucial. And its second rebellious streak? That comes from its root. For most of the forms, that E in the stem ten actually changes to an IE. So instead of something like tennis, it becomes tienes. This is a super common type of change in Spanish verbs, so getting this one down now will help you a ton later on. And this chart really puts it all together. You can see the rebel G in tengo, you see that stem change to EA in tienes, tiene, and tienen. But, and this is a big but, look at nosotros. It behaves. Tenemos doesn't have a stem change. That's the one exception you'll have to burn into your memory. Okay, let's talk about the single biggest mistake that English speakers make with this verb. I like to call it the age trap, and it has everything to do with how you say how old you are. You see, in English, we say I am 25 years old, so our brain automatically wants to use the verb ser, to be, and say soy 25 años. But that is 100% wrong in Spanish. The correct way is tengo 25 años. You literally have your years. Here's a great way to remember this. Just picture this in your head. Imagine that every single year on your birthday, you collect another year, like a little token, and you put it in your backpack. You're collecting them. You have them. So if someone asks your age, you just think, how many years do I have in my backpack? Tengo 25 años. It's a small mental shift, but it makes all the difference. All right, now that we've got possession and age down, let's unlock the next level of tener. This is where you can start expressing some really useful ideas, like obligations and physical feelings. So, what if you need to say you have to do something? Well, there's a fantastic little hack for that, a super simple formula. You just take the right form of tener, add the word que, and then stick any verb you want after it in its original infinitive form. That's it. For instance, look at this. Tenemos que irnos ya. See the formula? Tenemos is our conjugated verb. Then comes que, and then irnos, which is our infinitive. It means we have to leave now. It's that easy to talk about any obligation. Tengo que estudiar, tienes que comer. It works every time.
And this is another big one. So many physical feelings that we are in English, you have in Spanish. You aren't hungry, you have hunger. Tengo hambre. You aren't thirsty, you have thirst. Tengo sed. You aren't sleepy, you have sleepiness. Tengo sueño. Using tener for these common feelings is a massive step towards sounding way more like a native speaker.
Okay, I know that was a lot of information, but now comes the most important part, actually putting it into practice. It's your turn to take out that Swiss Army knife and show me what you've learned. So, I want you to try two things for me down in the comments. First, go ahead and tell me your age using the correct tener structure. Second, create a sentence telling me something you have to do today using that tener que formula. Seriously, give it a shot. It's the best way to make all of this stick. And to wrap this all up, I've got one last question for you.
Out of all these different jobs that tener can do, possession, age, obligations, all those feelings, which one do you think is going to be the trickiest for you to remember? Let me know what you think. Hope this was a huge help.